The bromance between Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump has escalated to the next step. You may remember that Donald Trump moved to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and then more recently in March, he moved to recognize Israel's annexation of the Golan Heights, which was seized in the Six-Day War. And here, as a reminder, is a video of Benjamin Netanyahu acknowledging the significance of the relationship between Donald Trump and him.
In the long sweep of Jewish history, there have been a handful of proclamations by non-Jewish leaders on behalf of our people in our land. Cyrus the great Persian king, Lord Balfour, President Harry S. Truman, and President Donald J. Trump. And you, Mr. President, you've done it not once, but twice.
So that happened.
That whole time Trump is sitting there looking at him, he goes, who are these people?
Yeah.
I would love if the reporter was like, President Trump, just one simple question for you. Who's Lord Balfour? Okay. It's a great, strong compliment. Okay, that's what it is.
That happened as Netanyahu was seeking re-election to become the longest serving prime minister or leader of Israel ever. But this bromance has made a giant leap to the next step as announced by Prime Minister Netanyahu. Take a listen.
I'm here on the beautiful Golan Heights. All Israelis were deeply moved when President Trump made his historic decision to recognize Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights. And therefore, after the Passover holiday, I intend to bring to the government a resolution calling for a new community on the Golan Heights named after President Donald J. Trump.
Consists of buildings that will collapse, grass that doesn't grow.
Yeah, right.
And this community will probably go bankrupt. and so, but it is actually somewhat fitting, to be fair, because the international community considers every settlement in the Golan Heights to be illegal and against international law. So naming an illegal settlement after Donald Trump, well, there is some poetry to that.
Yeah, for people just to fill in some of the background, there's Israel, and then there was a Six-Day War. Was essentially when Israel like more than doubled its land, mostly in the Sinai Peninsula, but also the Golan Heights and other areas. But essentially, over the years, it's been hotly contested. It's one of those things that when you like look at the borders, it's dotted, and that's because in the 80s, I believe, Israel kind of annexed it. After a lot of back and forth, they were just like, no, we are in charge of the Golan Heights. And the rest of the international community is like, we just cannot recognize that as the case. And so Trump is just trying to pander to that specific relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu, who is a who has a right-wing government, and it's just so gross, especially when it's so transparent as just saying, hey, I'm gonna name this settlement after you.
Yeah, so I think that both Netanyahu and Trump should enjoy their time out in the open fields, as Netanyahu appears to be, because they might both go to prison soon. Netanyahu brought up on corruption charges, and Trump obviously has his own legal issues here. But look, when it comes to the Golan Heights, let me just explain why every other US administration, Republican and Democrat, did not say that it is part of Israel, did not recognize their annexation of the property, because they believe that it is counterproductive to Israel as well as the rest of the Middle East, because it makes peace less likely, not more likely. It antagonizes all the other Arab countries surrounding Israel. So I get it, the right wing in Israel says, look, we wanted in a war, I want it, that's it, we're done with it, we own it, okay? But if you care about Israel, the thing that you want at the end of the day is peace. And unfortunately, that does not serve the interest of the right wing anywhere. That is why our right wing in America constantly pushes for war. That is why Netanyahu, it's not an accident, it's not the bug that he happens to be agitating for more conflict, it's the feature. That's what keeps getting him elected. He just won, again, barely kind of won the election again. And he did because he fear-mongered. Oh my God, they're all coming for us, they're all coming, and need conflict. I mean, we're about to have conflict and you need me to protect you. It's the oldest trick in the political playbook. And so that's why people who cared about Israel said, no, don't annex the Golan Heights. It's gonna lead to more conflict, not less.
Right, people who, in my opinion, care about Israel like saying Tel Aviv is a cosmopolitan area where a bunch of people get along together and are happy. It is these areas that, and people who push for this kind of heightening of tensions that make it so much worse. I do wanna, it's tough because it is so ridiculous. You have something that's so serious as these areas and these moves by the president that are in conflict with literally the rest of the world. And at the same time, it's something as ridiculous as naming an area of town after the president. So that's ridiculous. Someone found that online. Someone named Brian Dawson put a Twitter poll up. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu wants to name a town in the Golan Heights after Trump. And he wanted to put together a poll. What name should he use?
Oh God, that's hilarious.
Schmagegaville? Schmucktown?
I'm definitely going for that.
Fakakta Falls?
Wait a minute.
And Meshuggah Hills. There's a lot of translation I could do. I feel like you already probably know it, but Meshuggah means crazy. The rest.
Fakakta Falls has such a good.
Fakakta Falls, it sounds, John and I were talking about it, sounds like an area in Fortnite.
Yeah.
Like there's Paradise Palm, there's Fakakta Falls.
Yeah.
So what do you? So you chose Schmucktown?
Schmucktown's too good to turn down, but I don't know, man. I'm torn because Fakakta Falls is so good because they might both fall. Okay, and Donald Trump's entire career is Fakakta.
So Jayar, what's your
feel
vote?
of the alliteration. I like Fakakta Falls.
Well,
the feel is too good.
According to the results of this poll, as they are after you vote, because I did, for Meshuggah Hills. No, I think I did Fakakta Falls. Schmucktown by a mile. I don't know if you can see it. 62% for Schmucktown. Some other honorable mentions by people in the Twitter comments were Kofefe Corner, Puttsville, Hamburger Hills, and Bupkisburg.
Those are all fun, but I think Schmucktown won because everybody knows what schmuck means.
Yeah, there you go.
They had to look up Fakakta, otherwise it would have been closer.